How y'all doing? What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Um, Bear with me for a second. This live, my bad. Okay, this live, as you can see by the title, is called what? How can I say this? Real talk, principles, and life lessons. Um, a lot of things has been going on in life, and sometimes I'm not serious or whatever, not playful, but I learned a lot of things in my years. And I'm gonna talk about some of these things, the principles that I learned, the life lessons that I learned. The first one, the first principle is not to be so. I take that back. That's not the first one, but one of them is not to be so superficial. What's up, well? What's popping? See, when I was like a freshman, sophomore in high school, in gym, we were swimming, and I was jumping in the shallow end of the pool, and I skint this whole side of my face off. What's happening, Ron? What's up, Tidy? And some people so concerned about their face. My face. Don't touch my face. This is my face. And I realized I was cool in my own skin because when I didn't have half of my face, I was not insecure. I didn't care. You get what I'm saying? And that taught me a valuable thing that you aren't your body parts per se. How you doing, Miss Witt? Prosperity to you too. Oh, whoa. Oh, Shay still on? Oh, damn. That's my dog, Ron. So if y'all come in and come out and go watch O'Shea, that ain't no big deal. Salute to the brother, man. That's my guy, man. That's my guy. Uh, so what's up, Hope? What's up, Well? What winds up happening is I've been in those situations where, when I didn't have half of my face, I was like, it's not a big deal. But I realized some people can't handle that. Some people are so caught up on looks that if you mess with their looks, they crumble. They get too insecure, you know. And for me, it was like, if you're not, that means I was focused on other things because I had other goals and aspirations, and I didn't need my face. I didn't need my face to achieve them. You get what I'm saying? And the more of that story, what's up, Devin, Marcus? You careless? Keyshawn, what's up? So the moral of that story is the first, one of the first principles and lessons I've learned was, when you're focused, the looks don't matter as long as you get the job done. One of the other lessons I learned is you can only control your own actions and outcomes. You might not be able to control your own outcomes, but you only can control your own actions. And I remember being younger, and I'm a advocate of hard work. Hard work and dedication, right? So now what winds up happening is you get upset, or you get frustrated, or you get impatient because you can't control what you think everybody else could be doing and should be doing. That's not your business. I learned a long time ago that what you need to do, if you feel like you're better than somebody, you feel like you work harder than somebody and you've outworked somebody and you can outproduce somebody, don't get frustrated. That separates you from them. You are going to go further than they will because they're not willing to put in the effort. But you can't sabotage yourself. Because if you wind up sabotaging yourself because you want you want to control what other people do, you're not focused on what you're doing, which is another part of the lesson. People say practice makes perfect. My dad says perfect practice makes perfect. You get what I'm saying? So if you're gonna do something, do it all the way. Do it all the way. Don't do it halfway. You know, if you get tired, give it all you got when you're tired. But don't do something halfway. If you sick, give it all you got while you sick. But do it to the best of your ability. You can't control how other people may see you, or you can only control the outcome when you are participating in the action. But ultimately, you can only control your actions. And the reason, I learned that is if you visualize something, you can prepare for it. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times people don't visualize things. So quick lesson. When you visualize something, you prepare for it, you wind up being able to react to it properly. I remember a particular football game. I had been working on using one blocker to block multiple people. So at this particular moment in the game, Fredro, thanks, fam. You know, thank you, Fredro. Now I've been visualizing that, and particular play happened. Bam! I'm coming up, the sidelines, one blocker, two defenders. I break right, and the defenders go to get me, and I did that on purpose. So when I broke back left, they was walled off by my blocker. Now, I appreciate you, bro. It was walled off by the blocker, and it was easy. You know why it was easy? Because I visualized that during the week. And what I mean by visualizing is sometimes when you take a certain path in life, I learned you have to visualize all of the outcomes. You got to prepare holistically across the board. You might be good at this thing, but you got to prepare for all the things that you're not good at. You got to prepare for all of the curveballs that might be thrown that you might not be prepared for. So when it hits, bam, that's why, perfect practice makes perfect, because guess what? You practice on the things that work, you practice on the things that don't work so well. You learn how to improvise. You learn how to think on your feet. And that was for me, that was an important life lesson and an important principle, because a lot of people can't adjust. A lot of people can't adapt. And that's what, what a lot of us get so bogged down as, it's going to be like this. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Like, it's not going to be just like this. It can be a plethora of different things. So you have to simulate in your mind as many things as you can think of to figure out how to counteract it and figure out yourself. How you doing, Jewel? So, one of the other lessons that I learned, at a very early age was, and I talked about this before, that there is a life after this one. I was like in second grade, and I was playing in the house, went through the glass screen door, cut my throat. And I've said it before, I was laying on my back. Salute to you, cool gent. I was laying on my back, and when I was laying on my back, what wound up happening was, I could feel the blood on the back of my neck, but I can, and I said it was 2 stories. So the neighbors came out, they looked down and saw me, and at a particular point, I'm down on the ground, looking up at the sky, and I'm up in the sky looking down at me. You get what I'm saying? So at that particular point, I didn't know what it was. That brother was happening, but I knew, Zaria, how you doing? And I knew something was up. Now later on in life, I had what people call astral projection or whatever. I was sitting in the house, and my body just locked. I was just chilling, eyes closed. I was trying to take a nap, but I couldn't go to sleep. My body just locked. Next thing I knew, it was like I'm in the room. Then I'm in the ceiling. Then I'm through the ceiling. Then I'm up in the sky. Then I'm up and out of space. And then I'm in outer space, and it's like this flaming person. It's like white flame. It's a black person, but it was white. It's like, I think it's like it kind of reminded me of my grandmother. And it was reaching out to me like this. And then I freaked out. Just went right back down, right? What's up, Big Poke Dog? And, that freaked me out to the point years later, I tried to do it on my own. I did it on my own. Still freaked me out. People talk about the voice of God or whatever. Man, I don't know what I heard, but I know it was like a lion's roar and a shotgun talking to me, and that freaked me out. And I was like, I gotta go, deuces, And I did it again after that, and I realized, Black Jesus, and I realized at that point, I hate having out of body experiences too. And at that, Big Poke Dog, thanks, fam. Joshua, thank you. Hold up. And at that point, I had to say to myself, I had one more experience where it might sound weird. I did it, the same thing happened, and when I was coming back down, it was like a dark figure sitting by my bed and waiting to jump in on me when I was coming in. So it was like kind of like a fight to get back into myself. And I was like, that was weird. I'm never trying this again. But because of all of those things, on a level outside of just believing in religion, I understand there's a life after this one. But I say that to say this about the lesson that I learned prior to that about religion and Christianity. And the principle I follow is, being a good person isn't difficult. If you read the Bible, it's a bunch of contextualized experiences that have people going that tell you how you could act, how you should act in certain circumstances. And I realized, like I've said before, that most people can't be quote unquote good people because they never read the book in its totality. And we all know right from wrong, but what we all don't know how to do is operate in temptation and adversity. And I realized a long time ago that we are subject to our vices. And if we don't really understand the principles of religion, our vices can win. Thus the idea about the devil. And what I mean by that is, I remember in like high school and college, I had vices. And there came a point where I realized that these vices had more of a control over me than I had over them. And in order to control your life, you got to control your vices. And a lot of us don't do that. I'm not gonna say a lot of us, but what I'm gonna say is, a lot of us don't know how to mitigate the risk and say, okay, I can't do that, or I'm not gonna do that. And I learned, when your vices become more important than your goals, then you'll never move forward, because no matter how far you feel like you're going forward, your vice is always going to pull you back, because you're going to only go but so far, and then the vice is going to take over. And part of the vices is everybody wants to be rich, and it's a very true statement when somebody says uh, money is just going to make you more of what you already are. And what I've come to see is, if you want success, you want financial success or whatever you want, yeah, I feel you on that, there, brother. Like, if you want whatever success you want, it's very much so important to get to know yourself on the road to that success, or know yourself by the time you get there. Because if you don't, all you're gonna be is subject to spinning your wheels and spending your money to define you. You know, exactly. And and sometimes people think, when people don't have money or whatever, when you first get a taste of it, you know, you crazy, Snuck. you know, but what winds up happening, and thank you. What winds up happening is you find yourself in these situations where it doesn't dawn on you, because I've seen people who get money, who get a lot of money. What winds up happening is you become childish, because now you have the money to do all of the things you dreamt of doing when you was a kid, but you're an adult now, and those childish things have adult responsibilities. True story. Good family friend of mine. He's a good dude, real good dude. Our families are intertwined in some ways. Um, Brother is multi-millionaire, and he didn't know how to drive a stick shift, but he really wanted a Lamborghini bad. This was like, I want to say, and my older cousin knew how to drive a stick shift. He's cracking up, such. I'm already, and he said, your boy done went out a Lamborghini, but he don't know how to drive a stick shift. So now I got to teach him how, without he on the gears, trying to get home and get down the block because he want to look fly. And it's because that's what happens when you have childhood dreams, but you're not practical. You're not practical. And to a degree, that was a great moment for him, because he started being a little bit more practical after that. When he started realizing, man, all this stuff looks good and seems good, but it isn't all it's cracked up to be. I learned about, that's how I actually learned about watches and jewelry. Because when you hang around people who have a certain amount of money, all the stuff that y'all see and guys flexing and all the shiny jewelry. See, the problem that they don't tell y'all about is it's worthless. And some of them guys are getting all that stuff on consignment because they feel rich, right? People used to get the gold teeth, the permanents, the diamonds. People never told you that when people get gold teeth and platinum teeth and permanents like that, they file down their actual real teeth. And if you don't clean your teeth properly, your teeth underneath there are going to rot anyways, because they're not getting oxygen. So it looks good, but normally your breath is going to stink because you don't take care of your mouth. Thank you, Shady Faith. Thank you, Shady Faith. And I still like the picture, though. I still want to see the other one with the things poked up all on the thing. That was shady. That was shady. For you men and women out there, if you ever if you want to know if a diamond is real, take a drop of water. You don't need much, just one drop of water. Drop it on the diamond. If the water sucks into the diamond, it's real. If it rolls off, it's fake. Diamonds are normally dug out of what? Caves or or wet, or wet type of areas. So they soak in water. So that's a natural thing with them. If you buy certain diamonds, you got to keep them clean, right? But certain diamonds and certain cuts, they shine differently. So a diamond shine differently in gold than they do in rose gold, than they do in white gold, than they do in platinum. And even if you put them in rhodium, they have a certain color. So that's how you know if they're real. Um, that's how when people have platinum. Platinum does not look silver. It looks like a dusty gray. You know what I'm saying? And people don't really take that into consideration. A lot of people have these gold chains on. They're not really gold. They're gold plated, because gold by the ounce. You gotta understand something. Gold is like what, maybe $1,300 to $1,400 an ounce. So think about it. If you got a chain on that's 8 ounces, that's not a gold chain. Now, the reason I'm talking about that, because one of the lessons I learned about that was materialism. Was that you can never buy your happiness, and nobody can give you your happiness. That's something you got to get yourself, and it comes from within. There are a lot of people who are unhappy on the inside, and they reach for things outside of themselves to get their happiness. And what winds up happening is you always, how can I say this? You always come up short. See, nobody else can make you happy. Like, if your childhood messed you up, that's one thing. You know what I'm saying? Right. Thank you, Hurricane. That exactly. I go back like that. If y'all don't know, like the solid gold Rolexes, those have a great resale value. A lot of that because they're solid gold. Now, actually, if you get a presidential or something like that, it's gonna have scratches in it normally because you probably hit your arm or something. That's how somebody knows it. No, when they have all them iced out, nobody could wear those. Nobody, only few people could wear those. Having all those ridiculous charms and chains that have only meaning to you, they're worthless because nobody can wear those. Nobody wants it. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to that too. Beth, what's going on? Yes, yes, people have told me that. They have. But back to the happiness part, right? See, some people are so unhappy that nothing can make them happy. And they don't know how to find their happiness. They get high. And I used to talk about, like, one of my best friends, when he was living, I was like, look, man, drugs and alcohol is supposed to be for celebrations, not for not to pacify yourself, not to get you through the day. And a lot of people who aren't happy, or who need to get high or drunk to feel level, you can't never help them. Kangster, how you doing, fam? T Ray. Exactly. So this is part of the lessons, right? Uh, I feel you on that, Meridian. So the lesson I learned about happiness is find something that makes you feel alive, and do that, and keep doing that. And because I was born in New Orleans, right? I lived multiple places, but because I was born there, New Orleans has a rich artistic culture. It's a rich artistic culture. But somebody could be a garbage man in the daytime, and a pianist at night, or in a second line band on the weekends, or lead singer for a jazz band, right? What's going on, Curtis? John, how you doing? So what winds up happening is you put yourself in these positions where you start looking at life a little differently, because those people from who, if they have a job from 9 to 5, they're paying their bills, but from 5 to 9, they're cultivating their own happiness. And you have to do that, because if you can't find happiness and you can't create your own happiness, nobody can do it for you. How you doing, James? Like, nobody. Like, when you meet people and you want them to come through for you and, you know, be your Superman and your Superwoman to save the day, that can't happen because no matter what they do, it'll never be enough. It'll never be enough, you know. Plus, when you have a passion, you might start to understand the process of having a passion and realize that, how can I say this? There's so much to learn when you have a passion about yourself and others, and the things that can go on. And what I mean by that is, we want to be successful, right? But the idea of starting off small and growing big, it seems like a hard concept because we're impatient. But if you have a passion, you're willing to do what it takes to get in the building. And see, everybody wants to get in the room and to be at the head of the table, but you got to do what it takes to get in the building. You might have to be the janitor. I don't know if y'all know this, but one true story about Prince was he worked as a janitor in the studio for studio time because he loved music and he wanted to make it so bad. He did what it took. He was a janitor just to create the money to make the time to record in the studio. Some people did the same thing in sports. Some people, this is why you take internships, because you got to get in the building. You can get your foot in the door when you get your foot in the building. And I learned that as a life lesson where, if you're not humble enough to get your foot in the building, then you might not ever be able to get your foot in the door, because it's that will to do what it takes to be what you want to be that can get you somewhere. You can go from nothing to something if you just figure out how to get in the building. One of the, might sound weird, but you're going to have to make sacrifices and be comfortable with the sacrifices you make. Like, I got a lot of scars and a lot of sores because I wanted to be a football player. I just stopped growing. But in order to do that, I made sacrifices. I wanted to be a college graduate. In order to do that, I made sacrifices. And what I learned along the way is a person who doesn't face adversity, there are people who are confident because they were sheltered from adversity. And there are people who are confident because they have conquered plenty of adversities in their lives. And you would rather be the latter, because if you got a gang of confidence, but you don't really face adversity, when adversity strikes, you won't know how to handle it. You freak out. How you doing, GG? What's going on, Curtis? My bad. Now, the other thing about that is, what winds up happening, that some people, I remember, how can I say this? Adversity shows you who you are, and you got to figure out if you like who you see when you're done. And sometimes that failing in adversity and you not liking that is what propels you to be better. When people say fail and fail big, they're not telling you to just mess up stuff. They're telling you to whatever you're chasing in life, whatever your passion is, whatever your goal is, go in that, but take risks. So when you take risks, you become better, because during you taking risks, you made a few mistakes that you'll learn from. They're not telling you to take reckless risk that can end you. They're just telling you to do things, you know, that, and don't be afraid that this might work and this might not, because a lot of us don't have knowledge passed down to us. We are learning as we go, and I think that's one of the important lessons about that I learned too, is that, you know, you got to be open. You know, I've learned being rigid. You can be rigid as far as having knowing that you're going to work hard, but you have to be open at all of the possibilities in life. Everybody's not going to see it your way. Everybody's not going to do it your way, because your way doesn't work for everybody else. You know, and you got to be open to somebody. Sometimes people can make better decisions for you than you can make for yourself. Sometimes people see how you operate and how the world operates with you when you do this, and it works out better when you do this, but you see it another way. You want to do it this way, but that doesn't work out for you. You know what I'm saying? If you fall, I feel that. So this becomes a problem, because a lot of people are scared to fail, which became also a lesson for me in life, is that no matter how successful you'll ever be in life, everybody in the world is not going to know you. So don't be afraid of what people have to say, because if you're just, you know, if you're doing the right things and it works out and it doesn't work out, people are going to talk. That's just what it is. But don't be afraid to move forward in life because of what people may or may not say, or what people may or may not think. If you're doing something that isn't harming other people, if you're doing something that's helping other people or helping yourself, don't worry about everybody else. Don't worry about it. And that becomes the thing, because what winds up happening is I met so many people who are scared to do something. I don't want to do that. How are they going to look at me? Forget how they look at you. You know, because guess what? They look at you like you're a fool one day, and years later they'll wish they were you, because you did it. You know what I'm saying? So don't be ashamed and afraid to move forward in life. Just don't. You know, that's, you know, for me that's been an important thing, because I don't necessarily have anxiety. I can get butterflies at times, but I learned that it really doesn't matter. You're not gonna bat 1,000. Rather try than not try at all. You know what I'm saying? You know, this becomes an issue. You know, they are successful people. That's the thing. That's the thing about, yeah, they are introverts, but they're not scared of the public. They're not scared of the outside world. Sometimes they're just resting and working. You know, that's the thing. And how you doing? You know, now you got to talk about these things. Learn to accept reality and accept people. Um, a lot of, you know, I learned, you know, one of the big principles is accept reality the way it is, not how you want it to be, not how you think it's going to be, not how you feel it should be, but accept it as it is, because you can't change your situation for the better if you can't accept the reality of your situation in the present. You know what I'm saying? That becomes an issue. So what winds up happening is, hey, I'm glad them brothers is on, man. They on. You know, shout out to O'Shea and shout out to Diners. Um, but accept that reality and accept people. Like sometimes we get disappointed and our heart broke and our feelings hurt by people because we didn't accept them for who they were. We wanted them to be something else, something more, something different. Like, they're not, for me, they're this, that, and the third. No, you got to accept them for who they are because, you know, it'll never break your heart. You might get disappointed every now and then. I'll take that back. LC, what's happening? D. Anderson, what's going on? So what might wind up happening, it might break your heart. It might mess with you. But at the end of the day, if you can accept a person, you can accept the outcomes. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a big deal. Some of us, we struggle with that. And that's because you want to force, force a square peg into it ain't gonna work that way. And if you can accept that, you'll be good. I've learned over the years that it's not that big of a deal. At the end of the day, it just ain't. So I don't know why, but how can I say this? Well, like for me, I think one of the most important lessons in life was acceptance because I had issues when I was younger with my family and whatnot, not having my back when Yeah, it's because I'm black. That's what happened. It's because I'm black. So I don't know what the hell happened. My bad, y'all. But, like I was talking about acceptance. You accept that sometimes I might just get snatched off of the air, you know? But, whatever, man. That sucked. I saw that. Yeah. My camera just went off and it was like, okay, let's just start from here. Now it was weird that my camera went off, but when I got back on StreamYard, the time just went like it just kept going. Hilarious. But whatever. Um Getting back to this other part, like I had this lesson when it came to even love and relationships, right? If somebody don't rock with you, they don't. You can't make somebody love you. Even if you love them, you can't make them love you back. And ironically, you shouldn't. Don't try to make them. Don't try to force them to either, because if they don't have it in themselves to do it for you, they're not really with you. They're not gonna make an effort for you. They're not for you. You get what I'm saying? And I think sometimes I learned that you can want somebody forever, but if they don't want you, but if they show you that they don't want you, then they don't want you. If you see them, go with other people, you realize they might do more for other people than they ever would do for you. And it might hurt. Hold up, is that my joint? Hold up. I'm sorry, y'all crazy. I'm crazy right now. Oh yeah. How you do that there? I'm sorry. Yeah. Y'all know about that. Anyway. I work out to that joint. So the other thing is, ironically, I've learned to have a sense of humor. Because if you don't have a sense of humor in life, you're gonna be serious about everything. And the irony of that is, if you're serious about everything and you never like let your hair down, oh yeah, that's young bleed though. You know, you gotta have some fun sometimes, man. Jamar, what's going on? Because people don't realize, as life can be very difficult, life can be very hard, life can be taxing, life could turn you inside out, but life could be great, life could be wonderful, life could have, life could bring you from a very low to a very high, and all of those are worth it. So have a sense of humor, like have some fun, even in the midst of turmoil. Find a way to put a smile on your face, you know, because if you don't, you're gonna really, you really gonna be wasting your life. What's the book behind me? This is Tommy Curry, the man not. Okay, uh, brothers, y'all, it's about us. So, Nigel, what's going down? Hey man, you know about that. So, Nigel, I'm from the 9. You gotta remember that. So, what winds up happening is, hey, what winds up happening that I learned a long time ago is that when you can laugh at yourself, like you get to a good space when you can roast yourself or get roasted by people, and the things that you once were uptight about and not funny to you. Like when you see people make fun of you and it's hilarious, right? So for me, a sense of humor goes a long way. Um, Now, I'm kind of gonna make a sharp left. Um, One of the biggest things I also learned along the years was there's a difference between somebody who's smart or intelligent and somebody who's cunning, right? Because people, we see a lot of people who are conniving and cunning, and they think they're smart. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because don't find yourself battling back and forth with somebody who's always into some mess, because you're gonna waste your life, and you're gonna waste a lot of your life battling back and forth with mess. And you know, I wrote about that. I wrote about it a little bit in my book when I was talking about non-custodial parenting, where if somebody sees you as a villain, they might see everybody as a villain. You know what I'm saying? So you might constantly be getting into it with somebody. You got to ask yourself a question: Why am I gonna, you know, why am I gonna constantly be fighting with a person who don't want to fight? And what I mean by that is, this is why I say sometimes it's best to walk away, because don't concern yourself with people who always want to argue, who always want to fuss, who always want to keep up drama, but they don't really want to fight. See, they don't want to have a finite ending to it. They just want to have some constant mess going on. And stay away from people like that. They drag you down. They waste a lot of time, and you don't have that kind of time to waste. That's just my opinion. You know, so that for me, that's an issue too. And figure out how to say this, and be open to the fact that people are going to grow because you grow. You know, I've grown a lot. Like I remember talking to my mother and my father, and it was like, man, you've grown a lot because you're not who you once were. And what they meant by that was Um, I could be a very fired up person, explosive like person, and I kind of just was like, for what? You know what? Why? You know, and it didn't really serve me any justice. And the reason I'm saying that is because this is one of the best lessons I ever learned. My dad told me this a long time ago. He said, anger is the enemy. And I learned that, you know, anger is the enemy if you can't use it in a positive way. Because anger is destructive if you can't, mold it into something else. If you get angry enough, you got to get angry enough to do something that actually changes the outcome of your life. You know, when people say they sick and tired of being sick and tired, you got to do something. But if you're just angry, it's gonna eat you alive from the inside. You know what I'm saying? So if you can't harness all of your emotions and create a positive from a negative, you got to let that shit go. I mean, it's just best to just let that shit go, or put it on the back burner until you figure out how to cultivate that. You know, because what winds up happening is you wind up being so angry that you can't think straight. And you know, some people feel like some people are weak minded, right? But I will say this: there are some people who have a very strong mind, but they're confused because of all of the emotions and thoughts going in their heads. And to me, a confused mind is just as bad as a weak mind because there is no focus. You don't really have a direction with a confused mind. You speak confused. You act confused. You're contradictory because you might be responding to this, but you're responding to the wrong person. You get what I'm saying? So you got to get your emotions in control and in check, because if you don't, they're going to control the things. They're going to control your actions, and you won't be able to control those outcomes. Now, ironically, one of y'all brought it up earlier. One of the biggest lessons, one of the great principles I learned is, longevity. And what I mean by longevity is, if you don't take care of your health, whatever plan that you got in life ain't gonna pan out. So whatever you want to do in life, and however successful or whatever life you're looking to create, the first thing you need to do is create a plan for longevity. You want to live a long life, you got to watch what you eat. You gotta sleep properly. You gotta work out. You gotta constantly work at the things that make you productive. You gotta be prepared for the daily grind. You gotta try to perfect your skills. You gotta be able to challenge yourself. You gotta be able to be healthy enough to be productive even on your sick days. And a lot of times we're not thinking about longevity, but we're thinking about the long game. Those two things don't go together, and people don't recognize that they don't go together. So, and I notice this because the older I get, man, I look at my peers, and people's health is deteriorating. Young people, old people they're supposed to, but young people or people like that should be in the prime of their life or entering middle age, they're just starting to deteriorate. Why? Because they didn't take care of themselves. And now, and this might sound weird, but prepare to live a different life. And what I mean by that is, if you prepare for the long game, be open to the fact that you might do something different. And you might have a different career path. Don't just be stuck as, I got this career, I got this job, and I'm gonna do that, and when I'm done, that's it. No, be open to the idea that you're gonna take this path and the things that you learn from this way, and then you're gonna put it into this, and there's gonna be something different. Shout out to Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. But the reason I say that is because I learned this lesson as a black man from being around older men who are non-black. A lot of times we think about business in the business community and in quote unquote black power. If you hang around like, a lot of men of other groups, well, winds up what you will come to see is a lot of their business people are older men, like 50s and up. Why? Because they worked in a career field for a certain amount of time, and they made enough money in that career field, and then they wound up entering into business and pooling their resources as businessmen at an older age, or they started growing in their maybe late 30s, early 40s, 50s, and then bam, it started working. So a lot of times, a lot of us don't take into consideration that you might prepare to have a second career. Be open to the fact that, like when you see brothers, and like brothers go to the military, right? And then they retire, then they do something else, but they retire from the military, but they're doing something else. You see all of these celebrities, and you're like, how do they do all of these different things? Because they're open to the fact that they can have a different career path. They're open to different choices, different avenues, different options, different possibilities, different places. And a lot of us aren't doing that. Like a lot of us just think, do this and that's it. Don't cripple yourself by doing it. Because if you can, you can. If you can't, you can't. Now, on a serious tip, I've learned forgiveness. For me, I'm one of those people. I've been one of those people. I am one of those people still to a degree. I had a hard time forgiving. You cross me, I'm gonna get you. But over the years, I learned that you can forgive people. Don't forget, but forgive. But that doesn't mean you have to be around them. And one of the reasons, one of the life lessons I learned about forgiveness, one of the major principles I have about forgiveness is if you're doing certain things, I know life is gonna get you. I'm not gonna have to, because some people are habitual line steppers to the point that they burn every bridge that they ever made, and other people have made with them. So I don't really have to get you. You're gonna get yourself. And I learned to a degree, forgive and move on, because if you become vengeful, you might wind up getting revenge and costing yourself in the long run. So that becomes an issue. He's a Buddhist dog. What's up, CJ? So that's the thing. So what winds up happening is, when you forgive, you go, all right, yeah. But and this might sound cold, and I say this, I can forgive a person. I ain't gonna tell you I forgave you. I'm just not gonna mess with you no more. Yeah, I forgive you, but I'm not finna call you and tell you that. I'm not finna just volunteer that. I'm like, I forgave you. No. We good. And even with people I forgive, I will make you uncomfortable, because I didn't forget, and I don't want you to get comfortable enough to think you can repeat the same thing you did previously. So I'll be like, hey, what? I really don't want to hang around with you because you're going to do X, Y, and Z. So if you do this, it's not gonna end well. I'm just gonna tell you right now, it's not gonna end well, and that makes people uncomfortable. Might be wrong to do it, but I do it, which is another thing. Always be a work in progress. I don't believe that you can't always improve. I mean, I always find something that I could tweak with myself. I'm not ever satisfied with myself. I'm not content with myself. But I've learned that if you can work yourself into a certain space and be content in your life and your lifestyle, but I've never been content with myself. I think when you believe in yourself and you believe that you have potential, and you want to realize that potential. I'm one of those people that I learned taking a journey to try to realize your potential is one of probably the best journeys you can ever take in life. When you say, man, I wonder if I could do this, go for it. Go for it. And see how far you can go doing that. And it's fulfilling. If you and don't do, and ironically, don't do everything for money. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes when you do things for money, it's great to make money. Let me say that. But and the market itself sets its price. But when you start doing everything for money, you might lose your ability to connect. And you might and to connect with the thing that you're quote unquote passionate about. Because if you're doing it for money, now you might lose the actual spark that gets you up in the morning to do it. Now it becomes something you're doing for money, and you might make dumb decisions because you're making decisions for the money. And the reason I say don't do everything for money is because all money ain't good money. But if you do everything for money, you won't be able to see which money isn't good money. And people, it's all good. No, it's not all good. No, it's not all good, because a lot of us don't take into consideration the long-term back end. We look at front end money and not back end money. You know what I'm saying? Oh, chill out. What's up, James? And what I'm about to say might kind of be cold, because I still work on this myself. Put yourself first, and because other people won't. Other people, normally what I see in society is people want to be for other people to put them first, but they won't put another person first. So put yourself first, because if you don't, you might wind up running a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th to somebody that you've put first in your life. Don't do that. Ironically, nobody's gonna love you like your kid does when they're a kid, when they're like a toddler, and they're running up to hug you and see you. Or a dog, that loves you like that. Like, people don't love like that as much as they used to. So put yourself first, because you're gonna have to love yourself when other people put you on the back burner, because people will put you on the back burner. You know what I'm saying? So be understanding to the fact that you might have to pat yourself on the back. You might have to believe in yourself. You might have to be your own biggest fan. You might have to be a one-man army for your dream, and that is what it is. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got to take that into consideration. When you get a team, make sure that team is a good team. Like, that's another thing. Like, whenever you start moving forward and you learn how to get a team around you, make sure your team is competent. Make sure your team has your best interest at heart, because it and their own best interest at heart. because having a team of losers is going to just create a losing situation. You have a team of people that are all winners, no matter how different their skills may be, that winning mentality is going to spread the whole way. So you can make a successful team out of a hodgepodge group of individuals that might not seem like they go together. So if you get a team, get one that's productive. Um, and at the end of the day, because damn, I didn't realize I've been on here. Okay, I've been on here an hour. So let me. At the end of the day, the ultimate principle is what goes around comes around. So ultimately, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, what goes around comes around in a positive way. If you put good, you're going to get good back. But just be patient, because you don't control when it comes back and you don't control how much comes back. So, but it will come back. Sometimes it's kind of a test that you put good out and you waiting on it to come back because you're a good person. And if you're a good person, let it be out there. Let it simmer. It's gonna come back in unexpected ways. So so let it flow. You know what I'm saying? Just let it flow. Because when it comes back to you, you're gonna, and it might sound weird, but I've done a lot of good things. I guess what people consider humanitarian things, or just good things as a person, and been a solid dude to a lot of people. But people have to tell me of some of the things that I've done, because I've forgotten, because I never did good things to be a quote unquote good person. I just did good things because I thought it was the right thing to do. And I have been in so many situations that weren't good. I know how it feels to be on the other end, the person who needs help, the person who is down on their luck, the person who is starting from scratch, the person who's at the bottom, the person I've been all that, right? So I realized, if I see people like that, they remind me of that, and I try to say, hey, I've been there. You're gonna work out just fine. And to be perfectly honest, financially, that's cost me at times, but it was well worth it. But my life is very peaceful. It's very content. Um, Ironically, my life is so peaceful that it makes other people who are in turmoil uncomfortable, and they get uncomfortable around me in the way I live, but they also kind of get like, this is where I need to get. You get what I'm saying? So it's a weird thing, but what goes around comes around. So if you put good out, it's gonna come back to you, and don't let people suck your good energy out of you. Don't let that happen. If you got to take a break, take a break. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, God sees you. You know what I'm saying? I don't even, and ironically, I don't do good things even, because if God sees, I'll be like, hey, it's just the right thing to do. God, hopefully God of a heart, right? But that's between you and the man upstairs. But this is it, man. That's I just want to hopefully spread some positivity and some lessons or whatever. I hope it was worth it. Catch y'all on the next one. So have a good night. I'm going to eat cookies. Peace.